Okay, welcome back, y'all. You got Lily Lavender and Jaybird over here with our 24th episode.
So this is come hell or high water. So we've always been in a situation. We're going to discuss either like being in the weeds and digging yourself out, coming to the terms with the difference between needing help and asking for help when it's necessary, or pushing your boundaries. We all know that one person or several people that like
Takes on too much.
it kind of goes from both sides of the spectrum. There's people that take on way too much and is too prideful, or their ego is too big to kind of sort out, and they'll keep pushing through and keep pushing through, and nothing ever seems to help until they actually finally start asking for help. And I think you and I both have this problem. We're both prideful. We both have like a real ego problem. It took me years to start getting into a situation where I can ask for help and feel comfortable with it.
It does. It's always a work in progress. Like, for me, that was me when I first started off. And then I got to realizing that the more I help people get to where I'm at, the more comfortable I am with people helping me because I help train them. So that's exactly where I'm at today.
Well, I think that kind of started young for me. My great uncle, all the men in my life have like a substantial role that they played in my raising and the way I was brought up. But I remember my uncle used to tell me when I was a kid, he's like, listen, you outwork the person next to you, you'll always have a job. If you outwork the person next to you or in front of you, you'll be the one that people chase for employment or for opportunities or different things. And that's kind of remained true. I've never been fired, like ever, which is kind of weird to brag about, but I feel like that's a win in my corner. I've never been fired. I've always quit my jobs or whatever. But I am a stickler for competition. Love competition. I feel like that's what makes me better. I don't remember how the expression goes. Like, adversity and competition are the stones in which I sharpen my blade. And that's always been a true factor. That's always what made me better. And if I see tricks that I see, especially now from other bartenders, stuff where they can kind of cut corners and things still come out all right, and I've stole tricks from you actually, with different cocktails, especially margaritas and stuff, faster ways to push them out in large quantities, and still keep the integrity of the cocktail. Like, I'm not sacrificing anything by doing a different change up in my routine. So all of these things took years for me to practice, like either learning or asking for help and all that stuff. And I remember working at a bunch of other jobs, and it was funny. One day, I was getting my ass kicked. I was cooking, actually. I was getting my ass kicked, but I refused to let anybody help me. Like, I wanted to push through it. And my chef at the time started cracking up, and he started laughing. He was like, Braveheart died in the end, right? And I just kind of started laughing. And he finally, he started jumping. That was the tip of the iceberg. Like, I let him jump in. I was like, all right, you do this. I was still in control, which I'm a control freak anyway. But I let him bail me out. And I hate saying it like that.
Yeah.
But that's what it's called. I always say it's like, when people jump in, I was like, all right, this is Jeff Wade bailout program. And then we've run into different roles in that. But I feel like it's crucial and dire for people to push their boundaries.
It is. It's very crucial. So, for me, my bar is like stuck in the middle of the restaurant. And I have two sides that I can get out of. But only one of them we're supposed to use because the other one is the walk-in. So I can only go out one way. My problem is when I get busy, it's difficult for me to leave my little square. So I can't just go out there and ask somebody for help. I can't yell across the room because it's a pretty decent sized restaurant. I can't just yell across when there's people there. So it's hard for me to ask for help. Like, I have a system inside my little square, and it helps me out a lot, but hoping at the same time that someone can see that I'm in the weeds and just comes out and helps me out or whatnot, but it doesn't always happen that way.
that's kind of a love-hate relationship with somebody. Like, I work with a bunch of people. Some of them are really, really keen on that kind of sense. Like, they see that you're in the weeds. If they've got them in it, they'll jump in and help. Like, they know it's horrible or whatever. I've got a couple people that are really solid on that.
Well, yeah, like Gage. Gage does that when he's working with me. Say he's serving instead of bartending. He'll come and check on me. Hey, dude, do you need some help? You know, something, anything. And he'll do the dishes for me if he sees that there's any dishes. One of the other servers, she comes over and she sees dishes racked up over there. And she's like, oh, you didn't get the dishes done yet. I was like, nope, I'm a little busy right now. But she doesn't help, you know, whereas Gage does.
Yeah.
Now I've got this new girl.
There's nothing worse, and I'm sorry to cut you off, there's nothing worse than somebody acknowledging you have more work to do and then walking away.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Nothing chaps
That's
my ass more than that.
huge for me.
But,
and now I've got this new girl, and she's just amazing. She's like a second me. You know, younger. She's like 15 years younger than me.
You've been talking about her a lot here lately, and I've been jealous. So, like, nobody ever, like, I was just like, you know, you talk about me like that.
I absolutely love her, and the best part is I got to train her. I got to train her in the way I make my cocktails, so she makes them exactly the way I do. So that is one person I can count on for consistency. And she can handle volume, because I've seen that already. I'm just like, this is great.
So shout out to the new help. If you hear this episode, I've heard a lot about you, and a lot of bragging has gone in your direction. Just FYI. But that being said, I've kind of hit my new mile marker with some new help here lately. She's been really great. She knows what she's doing. She's really, really good with guests. Very, very southern. Like, accent sticks out harder than mine, and that's impressive.
Oh wow, that is impressive.
But she's a whole lot of fun. She fills in the kinks. And like yesterday, somebody was bragging on us, and they were like, "Oh, these two are like yin and yang. Like you guys do great." Where she's taking over on one thing, you fill in the blank somewhere else, and it just kind of goes off in reverse.
Yeah.
So nobody's missing anything. Everybody's staying on point. Yeah, and everybody's tended to. Which it was a slow night yesterday, but we still, as slow as the night went on, we actually did really, really well as far as our tips go. Like, people were treating us really well. So there's nothing like having an ace crew behind the bar.
That's it.
You got somebody that'll fill in the blanks and just notices where there's a gap missing, and is able to fill it with the labor that's needed at the time. It makes life breathe easier.
It does. So it's like the more and more we have to deal with new volume, an increase in volume with each new season that starts, the more I want people to see and understand, hey, we need help. Just jump right in and help us out. You know, just come over and ask us, what do we need? Is there anything I can get you? What do you need help with? Just the little things. And that's what I'm noticing more about working a volume place. That's what counts the most.
Well, right. A great team just knows how to fill in the blanks. And sometimes some people struggle with filling the blanks. It's not that they don't want to help, and it's not that they're not willing to jump in. It's more or less I feel like a good bartender, and I'm not dissing anybody at this point, but like I feel like a good bartender can look and see, okay, you're working on da-da-da-da. So if I'm doing well, or I'm working the drinks for the whole restaurant and not my bar top, if somebody's coming in to help me or bail me out on that, they can look and see exactly what I've already made by looking at what's already in the window. If there's still tickets up, obviously haven't made them. And I read tickets weird. I read them as they come in. I read them from right to left. I don't book read.
Yeah.
And that drives the people I work with nuts. Everything I do is backwards.
It's kind of how I do it too, because the way my tickets print out,
they come out that way.
Yeah, they come out that way. So that's how I read it too.
Well, when I worked in the kitchen, everybody's had those nights where you like pull off sleeves, like you can dress yourself in them, right?
Oh yeah.
So obviously, if you start with the lead on the far right side with the tickets, and if you've been in a kitchen or you've worked on a bar top, you know what this is like. You lead with all your tickets all the way at the very end and keep draping them as they come along. You don't lose order because that's the way they came in. So
yes,
you got this stride of tickets that come in one certain way, and you can keep pinning them up as set. So you got one rotation. I don't have to keep fumbling around and see what I've started, or like if I start reading from left to right, like a book, I can't remember which ticket came first.
Uh-huh.
I know that sounds really weird, but my mind in particular is goofy. It does not sit that way. But so that being said, we've had I don't want to say issues. That's kind of harsh, but we've run into a lot of scenarios where people are taking on the higher workload, biting off more than they can chew. And what we wanted to discuss on this topic is how to react to the situations when it comes up. Now, like I said, I've worked in kitchen, and any of you guys know that's ever actually cooked for a living before knows that is a stressful job setting.
Extremely.
You'll never meet the most flirtatious, happy, nice, angry, violent, hostile people on the planet. It is definitely 0 to 60 on both fronts.
Yes.
I have literally I've asked a woman out and cussed somebody out right next to each other. like I've been macked, I've laid down some good lines, and then turn around and just be like, "You're the biggest piece of shit I can ever." Like I've done that. I've been mean.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So people that that comes with being overwhelmed.
It does.
And biting off more than you can chew.
It does. And then you have those people that are inexperienced, starting something new, and they lack the ability to ask for help and instead blame others.
That's what we wanted to discuss, like how to react when shit is a little bit too far. When you've bitten off more than you can chew.
Yes, you do.
It would, to me, I have a huge amount of respect for somebody that'll come tell me, like, listen, this is a little bit too much for me. Is there any way to accommodate it, or maybe there's somebody better suited? Like,
I'll do the same thing and remain professional the entire time.
Well, I think and I think it's professional to be able to have that reaction. I've met so many people that's taken on a job that they're not qualified for, or it's just a little bit too much for them or whatever.
Like, how many people do we have that come in and they fill out an application to be a bartender and they've never
bartended before their life, or they bartended at strip clubs.
Yes.
And not dissing you guys, but my experience, we'll say it like that.
Yes.
My experiences with bartenders that come in from strip clubs only pour shots and only hand out beers.
That's correct.
No real artwork in cocktails.
Or they do the typical rum and coke, you know.
Yeah. Cuba Libre kind of shit, and then or sex on the beach, and that's it.
That's it.
But if you tell me that you worked in a dive bar for a set amount of years, that's a different animal. Or a speakeasy,
different.
Absolutely. You know how to sling some drinks, and you know how to experiment with some cocktails. You know exactly what you need, and I love that. So you told me that, and you told me how to make a good old fashioned. Like, I'll hire you on the spot.
Yeah, definitely.
And we've kind of discussed that for you upper management and supervisors. I'm picking on you a little bit. I think there should be a little bit of a test before you hire these guys. Like they say, they have experiences. You should know how to make the basic cocktails. Basic cocktails being an old fashioned,
a margarita,
Cosmo, Long Island, and Negroni. And you should know, which this is going to give some contradictions because we've argued about it a couple of times on how to order a martini.
Yeah,
you can order it specific ways. I think you should at least acknowledge what they are.
There's keywords. There's keywords when saying what kind of martini they want.
Yeah, straight up, on the rocks, dirty, dry, extra dry.
Yep.
Yeah, and shaken versus stirred. Like all of those are factors that you should know.
Gin or vodka.
Gin or vodka. And you know what I made the other day? And I know how it's one of those cocktails I know how to make, and I never know what it's called. It's a freaking Vesper. Like, holy shit. Like, I've been asked to make a Vesper 3 times today, and then like somebody will be like, "Oh, you know how to make that? You make them all the time." And I'm like, "Damn it!" And then like they'll be like, "It's got that in it," and I'll be like, "Oh shit!" And then I can kill it. But it never dawned on me. I don't know the name of certain cocktails. So like where you're still learning, there's cocktails I don't even know the name of it, but I know like once I'm started, I can't. Like I'm just like, oh shit.
Mine was I got stumped on Red-Headed Slut because when was the last time I worked at a bar that had Jaeger? Yeah. It's been a hot minute for me. So I remembered Jaeger, I remembered cranberry juice, and I could not for the life of me remember peach schnapps.
I know. Such an easy cocktail. Such an easy cocktail. And I always forget it too.
Yeah, she and I were laughing about it too because it'd been a minute since she made it. And I was like, oh God, it's been a minute since I've made it.
Well, somebody asked me to make a royal flush the other day. And I was like, no! Yeah, and I remembered how to make it. It took me like 2 seconds. I was like, I had paused. And I was like, Then freaking nailed it. I was like, hell yeah. I was like, ain't nobody forgot that shit.
No.
Nothing's more boss than, like, I honestly, nothing gets me more excited than remembering a cocktail nobody else can remember how to make it. It's my favorite thing.
It takes a bit, but give us a couple seconds. We got it.
Yeah. But, and I had the same thing with a Jim Jones the other day. Like, there's so much weird shit that goes into Jim Jones just to make it taste like grapefruit, or grape
Grape
Kool-Aid.
juice, yeah.
But if you nail it, you nail it. But she said, and she was cracking up. She's like, "This is the best one I've ever had." I was like, "Great!" I was like, embarrassed I had to look this up. But it was great stuff. But good reactions. I mean, that being said, we've had a lot of different situations. Don't show your ass in front of guests.
No, please don't. You're supposed to be professional. This is a professional business, regardless if you think it is or not. It's still a place of business. Professionalism is key.
Well, and not only that, that's a display of your character.
Yes.
So if you're freaking out in front of guests and you're losing your shit and you're yelling at your coworkers or yelling at the situation, whatever, that is not attractive. That does not look good.
No.
And those people, win, lose, or draw, you may never see them again. Or that could be your next boss. They're going to remember that. So, like, whether you're a coworker or you're a GM of a place, you can't go in front of guests and lose your mind or just start making a scene.
Well, I mean, there's one thing you should never do, and that is to spill the beans on the stuff going wrong in your establishment.
Right.
Like, customers do not need to know any of that. That is none of their business. And it looks bad on the business.
Yeah, don't air out dirty laundry. It's like a customer, for 9 times out of 10, they don't want to know what's going on.
No.
Don't need to know what's going on. And it doesn't affect their life one way or the other.
No, it does not.
And 9 times out of 10, they don't even know there's a problem until you make a scene like that.
That's
They
right.
never know.
So the best thing to do is you should always pull people to the side. Make sure that there's no one around, and then discuss it quietly, you know, or do it before you guys open, or do it when you guys close, but never during business hours, unless you can find an office or somewhere quiet. Another one is when someone is doing that, the person that they're yelling at or raise voices with, they should remain calm.
Yeah.
Allow it to play itself out, because you're not doing anything wrong.
Well, and not only that, like, attitude reflect leadership.
Yes.
Always. If you come up to me as my boss and you start yelling and freaking out at me, especially in front of guests, nothing will make me more, because you're trying to embarrass me in front of a crowd of people, and I'll lose it. Well, I won't lose it, but like I'll get pissed off. I'll have a different way of looking at you.
Yeah.
But a lot of people react the same way you're going to react. So if I'm yelling at you and screaming at you from across the room, and I'm telling you, listen, you need to get your shit together, and I'm saying this in front of guests, and I'm screaming at you, it would be asinine or ignorant to think that you're not going to respond the exact same way that I responded to you.
That's right.
So
most people would.
Yeah. So if you're yelling at me and you're being a smart ass and you're talking down to me like you own me, I'm going to have the same reaction to you. It would be asinine to think that I wouldn't. Like, and don't be surprised if you get the same reaction.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of respect, and I've had supervisors and managers come up to me and say, "Listen, when you got time, there's something I want to talk to you about."
I've had that too.
Yeah, it's not a big issue. Let's have a conversation about it when you got time to breathe.
Yeah.
I was like, and catch me, and we'll discuss it. I have a lot of respect for somebody that's willing to do that, and that's an uncomfortable conversation to begin with. Like, to tell somebody like this, and these are some things you need to work on. Like, it kind of hurts you to your soul.
It does.
But if you're willing to go through those steps and those channels, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a positive reaction out of the employee you're talking to.
Yep. That's right.
Especially, I've had here recently, and she's awesome. She is, like, as far as like a management staff and supervising staff, I've got the best. I've got really cool people that I work with. I really enjoy it. But she came up to me not too long ago and was telling me, "Listen, people are splitting off checks. I'm not saying that you are. I'm not saying that anybody here at the bar in particular is doing this. I just want you to be aware that I can't keep voiding stuff without a manager having discussed this with either the guest or the employee. People have been splitting shit off checks without supervisor approval to help like accommodate checks. Sometimes it happens, like if the food came out too late or came out burnt or something crazy. Like 9 times out of 10, you'll see a bartender split it off the bill and then have it voided off later. The issue is without a supervisor coming up and discussing it with you and the guest to acknowledge that there was a problem, can't just split it off.
No, it looks bad.
And I understand that. I understand that mindset. Like you're taking on a role that's not yours. Like, and honestly, I'd rather not. Like, if a supervisor's come up to me and tell me like, listen, this is an issue, I'll take care of it. I love that.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
Like any kind of dilemmas and shit like that, I don't get paid to do that. I don't want to do that. Man, like my bouncing days are over.
Yeah, like, so I may be a supervisor, but there's a lot of roles that I cannot do. And I enjoy just bartending and doing my job, doing what I know how to do, and staying calm, cool, and collected the whole way through. It helps because other employees see that too, so they'll try to mimic that and try to stay as calm as possible when you're in the weeds. And then they'll acknowledge that, you know, other people will need help or a situation happened, and they'll try to help out with that too. Yeah. But it's a huge reflection of a person's character, how they handle a situation.
Oh, absolutely. Like, and I've had horrible bosses. I've had great ones. Like I said, I've got really good ones now. Really cool about a lot of different fronts, and they'll be like, and like, even if I don't get my way, you know, and as employees, I'm giving you this as solid advice. You've never done that role. You've never managed, you've never supervised, and odds are you haven't done it at the location that you're at, or we wouldn't be having this conversation. If they tell you they can't do it, I'm sorry. We're going to have to. This is the best we can do. Yeah. It's literally the best they can do.
That is true. That's very true.
My managers and supervisors, depending on who's there, is there 2 hours after I leave, and I leave late, and is usually there well before I get to work. They don't get paid enough at my location to do that. Me personally. If they were to offer me that job, I would definitely tell you absolutely not.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
it is a difficult job, and you lose a lot of yourself when you have to go do it.
Absolutely. And it's really hard to be that person that like everybody likes and still have to be the strong arm guy to be like, listen. And if you can do it, man, you got a talent not everybody has. Yes. Like, it takes a special kind of person to just be like, listen, we got to take care of this, and this, and then let's acknowledge this. I will do the best I can to get you that day off, but maybe not. This is a holiday. And sometimes you have to be that dick that just be like, you know what? You apply for this job knowing you might have to work holidays. Yeah. If I can accommodate it, I will. If I can't, you're going to have to work.
Yes. Or what's the other one? You know that your place of business is going through some changes due to new management, infrastructure, and whatever. Just know that whatever you have to do in that meantime, like new inventory, whatever, just know that you just need to do it for a time until things get situated and smooths over. Yeah. Then you can go back to how things were before, or, you know, just follow new rules for the time. It's not that difficult to follow new rules.
Oh, yeah. No, and you got to understand, when they add new rules and all this stuff,
it's for a reason.
Well, not only that, they're pushing some boundaries. They're trying to figure out what works best. Yes. And the only boat that doesn't rock is one that doesn't go anywhere.
That's true.
So, like, sometimes there's new rules. Sometimes you'll understand why that's a bad rule. Figure out that sometimes it's a good one.
But understand that there's reasons why they're doing things, why they're changing things. They want to know what's going to work the most.
They're acknowledging a situation and trying to accommodate the best way they can. Yeah. And that's something that everybody as an employee needs to pay attention to. It's a big thing.
We all go through changes. Just roll with the punches.
Absolutely. But big acknowledgement here lately, and this is something I've just noticed here recently. Things at work, I'm starting to get some new employees. I'm getting a really, really good team together, and I'm really excited about it. And I think you're going through the same thing right now. And finally, we're not out of the woods yet. We're almost there. It's great.
It's almost the start of the season.
Well, it's kind of one of those things where I told you we've actually done an episode on it where people would have this mindset like, okay, that's not my job. I'm not touching it. It's finally gotten to the point where like I have not heard that in months. Like maybe not months. Maybe it's been weeks. But finally, and I have nothing to do with this. The team members that I've got, and especially some of the new ones that are coming in, finally have this mentality like, okay, if I fill in the gap here, it'll be smooth.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, if I help out here, he'll have a break and he'll help me out.
It's team effort.
Oh yeah,
always.
It makes for a great shift. But if you're expecting somebody, I don't expect somebody to do my job, but at the same time, I'm not going to look at that same person that's struggling and be like, you know what, that's not my problem.
Yeah.
Because that'll, in a kitchen or in a bar, that'll fuck you.
Yeah, everybody's going to sink.
But a special shout out to the people I've been working with here lately. I've not heard that in a hot minute. And I love it. People are starting to fill in the gaps. They're starting to notice that everything runs a lot smoother if you just jump in.
Yeah, see, my host had just posted something like that on Facebook, and it felt good because it was a busy day. And everybody that we had there, the servers, the host, the busser, the bartenders, we had 2 bartenders, we all helped out and we all made it through. I thought we were going to be stuck too, but no, we made it through.
Yeah. Well, special hell yeah to the new guys that are coming in, and to some of the seniors and the veterans that's been here for a while and still killing it.
Yep.
Love you guys to death. But just want to touch up on some points. Remember how to acknowledge, keep control of your emotions. Come hell or high water, we're going to make this into a good shift.
Yes.
Until next time, guys.